Hello, Brave Nation, and welcome in to our fourth episode of BraveHawk Talk on the UNCP Sports Network. I'm John Gross. I hope all of you are having a safe and a pleasant Friday. On today's show, we are joined by two very fascinating guests. First, I speak with Jillian Ebron of the UNC Pembroke women's basketball team. Then I sit down with UNCP Director of Cross Country and Track and Field, Dr. Peter Ormsby. Episode 4 of BraveHawk Talk starts right now. Jill, first of all, thank you so much for joining me on BraveHawk Talk. Really appreciate it.
It's no problem, man. I'm excited to see you start the podcast.
Yeah, this has been it's been a fun few episodes, and you're somebody who I've got to know really well over this past year, and think you'll be a phenomenal guest. Obviously, some strange times right now with the whole COVID-19 pandemic. How have you been holding up during the last few weeks?
Definitely. I feel for me that it's been a break much needed. I was just telling my professor yesterday I've been focused on school and interning with you guys and other things that I haven't really had time for myself. So I've been using this time to basically realign and readjust and get going. I've had time to create more stuff on my own as well, so that's been good as well.
Yeah, and we're definitely going to circle back to your creative abilities because they are really first class. But speaking of class, you've been taking all your classes online this semester?
Yeah, so I have three in-person class. One is a hybrid, so we only meet once a week. And then I have one online class, but, now all of my classes are online. So
right.
I meet on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I have class online at 11 o'clock on WebEx.
What's that been like to have to learn online for all your classes?
It's been interesting. I feel like basically the environment that we were in the classroom has basically translated into the online environment because one of my professors, he has like a lot of personality. So it's been very fun to get to socialize with other people since we've been inside the house. So I enjoy it. It's not a problem. And I mean, for that class, we only meet once a week. So it's only like, we spend like an hour and 15 minutes up there online talking about our work and how we're holding up and stuff. So it's not bad. I enjoy it. So, I mean, I'd much rather be in the classroom, don't get me wrong, but considering the circumstances, it works.
I have to say, as somebody who graduated from college last year, I could not imagine having to take all of my classes online. I would not be able to learn very well, but I'm glad to hear that you're doing well and that your professors are doing a good job of transitioning the classroom to online. So you come to UNCP, 4-year player on the women's basketball team. Now that your career on the hardwood, at least here at UNCP, is wrapped up, what are some of your final thoughts on your 4 years here?
It was definitely a learning experience. Built a lot of character as well. As you know, I faced a lot of injuries over the years. So I never felt like I really got back to 100% for a full season after I dislocated my patella. So that really challenged me mentally, and it forced me to grow mentally. And I'm kind of grateful for the experience because I grew from it and I adapted. But, we always want to, excel on the court as well. I felt like I found other ways to excel through basketball with leadership. I had to be more vocal, communicate. As I got older in the program and learned the system, I was able to help younger players coming in. So I feel like it was definitely a learning experience. And then as far as Pembroke, the town itself, it definitely grew on me. When I got here, it was a small town, much smaller than what I was used to. But it grew on me. The people here are special, and this is a special place. And I feel like, Pembroke is a special place, and I don't regret anything at all. I made the right decision, definitely.
Yeah, you mentioned how at times in your career and even a bit this season, you kind of served in that mentorship role to some younger players, and that's something that, in talking to your coaches, they were really high on you about that, really impressed with how you did that. Is coaching ever something that you consider in the future?
Yeah, I considered it, but not as a career or anything. I help out from time to time. I have a lot of coaching friends So I help out from time to time, and I used to go back to my high school and help my old high school coach with his players. So I don't mind helping out from time to time. I just feel like, with me being I just finished my career, so with me being a player, I can basically translate what needs to be said to the player for them to understand and actually comprehend, because that's the problem, comprehension. It doesn't matter if you can communicate if the player comprehends. So, but not as a career.
And this year you kind of talked about the injuries. I mean, to start off this season, you were, according to Coach Haskins, playing some of the best basketball of your career. And when you look back at your career now, whether it's that stretch or anything else, what are some of your favorite memories from your time playing on the hardwood?
Just the feeling, the adrenaline, the excitement that basketball brings. It really makes me feel alive. And one of the best games the best game is when you're down and you have to fight back with your teammates, because it builds character and resilience. So, just being able to fight with my teammates and go out there and compete with other teammates. I'm a competitive person, so I just enjoy competing, and that feeling, I'll never get that. In different ways, but not, you know what I mean, on the hardwood, it'll never be the same feeling. Just being able to compete with your teammates. And I feel like the bond that I share with my teammates was special this year. I have bonded with my teammates through the 4 years, but this year was a little different. I feel like we really had that communication and relationship with everybody. So the bond that I had with my teammates, that's what I'm going to miss most, actually.
When I look at your time at UNCP, and we had Tyler McCosey on the podcast earlier this week, and he was a similar case to you. I think you're fairly unique in that you were able to obviously balance the basketball side of things with the academic side of things and go not just beyond that, but way beyond that. I mean, you interned with the UNCP Sports Network. You have your own Uppity Productions and a whole boatload more than that. What kind of is it about you that leads you to doing more than just the status quo and pushed you to having a very well-rounded college experience?
I appreciate it, because it was very hard for me to balance everything, but my biggest goal, every day I'm just thinking about reaching my highest potential. I just want to reach my highest potential and see as far as I can go. So I really have challenged myself this year. Like I was telling you before, I was talking to my professor about just basically being focused and just trying to grow and being prepared for the next step. At the beginning of the year, everybody's asking me, what are your next steps? What are you going to do? And I really didn't know. I knew that getting my master's was on the list, but I didn't know, exacts or where I would be going. So just being focused in, and I was telling my advisor, I just want to be prepared for any opportunity that presents itself at the end of the year, because at the end of the year I'm going to graduate, basketball will be over, and I'll basically be starting a new life, essentially, because I've been playing basketball all of my life. So I really started to throw in my videography and my academics more so this year. With balancing, I feel like I was more focused on basketball before, but I got more involved. My advisor, actually, Sally Ann Clark, she got me involved into Broadcast Education Association my junior year, and then at the beginning of this year, she asked me to be the vice president for the club. So I feel like that really got me involved. And then once I got in a little bit, it just got even more crazy. So once I started getting excited about the work and seeing what I could do and pushing myself and doing projects with you guys, I was just I love learning. So any chance I get to learn, I'm on it. So I feel like once I was learning stuff, getting more involved into it, it just made me more excited and more excited. But I've been focused on it. So I'm excited for my future now.
You touched on your videography skills, which I have to say, you talk about learning. I've learned so much from you, just learning at how you do, at watching you do everything and the productions that you put together. Really so impressive. What went into kind of the genesis, the beginning of Uppity Productions, and how has it kind of evolved?
Yeah, so like I said before, I started getting more involved last year, but I feel like I was showing more of my content this year, so that's why it seems like it's such an emergence this year. So I challenged myself at the beginning of the year to just put out my work, show my work, no matter, because I'm a perfectionist, so I always try to get everything perfect. And if I don't like it, then I was hesitant about putting it out at first. But I got past that, and I started just putting my work out. So with that, once people started seeing my work, they started asking me to do different things for them. And so I was like I was telling you before, I'm willing to learn. So I was taking on projects for free, just doing anything for free. I do a lot of work for a sociology professor who's starting up her brand on campus. I do a lot of work for her for free. So once I started working on projects, I'm like, well, a lot of people are coming to me. I might as well start a business. So I started Uppity Productions, which is my videography business. I do editing and different events and photography as well. And I named it Uppity after one of my high school teachers who passed away once I got to UNCP my freshman year. And she was one of my biggest supporters. She's actually one of the reasons I chose to come to UNCP as well. So I named her name was Elizabeth Upton, so her last name was Upton, so I named it Uppity after her in remembrance of her. But I'm very excited about it now. Sky's the limit, really, so now that it's up and running.
Well, that's it's really an incredible thing that you've put together. And where can our listeners find some of your work?
You can go to YouTube. I'm Uppity Productions on YouTube, and then I also have my work on my Instagram. Is at just JUSTJ3JAE3, or you can just search the hashtag Uppity Productions on any platform, and it should pop up. Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Uppity Productions. Just type it in, and it should come up some way, somehow.
And that's Uppity with two P's, right? UPPITY?
Right, UPPITY.
Okay, great. You talked a little bit about your future plans and how you're kind of trying to figure out your next steps. And I know that you do have now an idea of what your future is going to look like, at least for the next step in your career. So what is your plan beyond UNCP?
So as you know, I've been accepted to Georgia State's master's program. So that's my next step. So in between there, I'll just be creating and pushing. Being that I'm a math comm major, I feel like the field is very broad. So it's a lot of stuff that you can get into and learn more in depth. So right now, and then even with film, I've been doing a lot of sports videography, but I'm trying to get more into the short film side. So right now I'm planning on, well, before I was planning on a short film for a class, but with everything going on, social distancing, that had to be rearranged. So now I'm focusing on doing a short film from home or with what I have outdoors and everything. So I'll see how that will come together, and if I can get it developed, that'll be interesting with everything going on and the limited accessibility as well. So right now, I'm just focused on creating, pushing out projects and posting. So be on the lookout for future projects. I'll be posting on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, everything. Just search Uppity Productions and see what I'm up to. I'll be posting something for Diane McCormick on the track team next week as well. So just be on the lookout.
Absolutely. And do you know what the end goal is? Do you have a dream job?
I can see myself in the film industry. I do want to create films, but there are so many different ways to tell stories. I was just talking to my friend the other day with music videos. I mean, I love music, and everybody knows I love R&B music. But you can tell stories through music as well. So I'm right now I'm actually working on a music video as well. This is my first real music video. I did a music video for a class. For Alicia Hardy, actually. So with Alicia Hardy, former UNCP women's basketball. But I'm working on a music video right now. That's a way of telling stories as well. So I'm really into storytelling. So any way I can tell a story on film, I'm trying to do that. And so I feel like I can get in the movie and film industry, but my end goal for real is being a professor. I love to teach, and like you said, coaching. I just like giving back what's been given to me. I feel like a lot of people look out for me over the years, just teaching me different things and exposing me to different things that I wouldn't have been exposed to otherwise. So I feel like being a professor would be a way for me to give back and help younger students who wanna pursue this career. But of course, I have to do the work as well. So I'm gonna try to get out, direct a couple of short films, and do what I can, and then I'll circle back around and try to get back as a profession, as a college professor.
That's a tremendous mindset to have, to want to give back to others. And I want to end with a little bit of a philosophical question for you. And you can take as much time as you need to think about it. But the question is, what phrase can apply to anything in life? In your eyes, of course. What phrase, whether it's something you live by or whatever it may be, what phrase can apply to anything in life?
It's interesting that you asked that, because this is one that I posted on Facebook, God is greater. And I feel like my faith is one thing that really kept me through all that's happened over the 4 years here at Pembroke and helped me to excel. So I really do have strong faith, and I feel like God is greater than any obstacle or anything that comes your way. God is greater than the coronavirus and the pandemic that is going on right now. So you will excel if you have faith. So that's my phrase for the day. God is greater.
Well, Jill, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to talk with me, and I know you're going to be very successful with whatever your future endeavors may entail, and congrats on a great 4 years here at UNCP.
I appreciate you so much, John.
Yeah, not a problem. Thanks again, Jill. A huge thank you to Jill for joining me on today's show, and we really look forward to following all of her future endeavors. Next up, coaching one team is enough of a challenge. Now, imagine coaching 3 teams. Here's our next guest, Dr. Peter Ormsby. Dr. Ormsby, first of all, thank you so much for joining me on BraveHawk Talk. Really appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for getting me out of the house.
Hey, you mentioned getting out of the house. Obviously, strange times. And how have you and your family been holding up during this tough time?
It's a little bit of adjustment. Obviously, I'm used to working at home a day or so a week, and that's no problem. My daughter goes to school for 2 class periods, comes home. That's fine. But when you've got my wife teaching her 3rd grade class 5 days a week from the kitchen table, I'm trying to do my work, my daughter's doing her work, and then my son who's in grad school here at Pembroke, with 4 of us trying to do it takes a little bit of logistics, but we're managing. But we all try to find that time for each of us to work out, whether it's a 20-minute walk in the morning or myself getting in about an hour and a half to 2 hours a day. It's that good stress relief and just good mental break that we all need, so we don't kill each other at the end of the day. But we do try to shut the computers down between 4:35, have dinner at a normal 6 o'clock, and then we just binge something on Netflix or Prime or something like that, just to kind of do some family things that we don't normally do.
And you try to maintain some semblance of a daily routine, it seems. And I could only imagine what it's like to teach 3rd graders online. I know teaching 3rd graders in person is tough enough, but online must be incredibly difficult.
My wife is a great teacher, and they kind of obviously threw this on everybody. So it's not just her, but she's asking my daughter for help when it comes to reading books and videoing them, and my wife is helping out her friends down in Florida that are doing the same thing. So everything's been thrown online, but she's making the best of it and everything else. So it's not a great situation, but she does her little Zoom meetings twice a week with her kids and enjoys that. But yeah, she would much rather be in the classroom. She's told me that she signed up to be in the classroom, not online, but given the world we're in right now, we're all making the best of what we can.
Now, you've certainly established yourself here at UNC Pembroke and continue to cultivate successful programs. But what did your journey look like to get to UNCP?
It's going on. I've been in the coaching profession about 20 years now, and initially I went to Florida State just to get my PhD, and I wanted to work probably in the more research or applied setting, and had to do an internship like we all do, and ended up working with the Florida State track and cross country team, and really enjoyed that. But I was also coaching at the high school level as supplemental income and enjoyed that. But really, the college level kind of got exciting. So at the end of my internship, I asked Coach Brayman, who's still at Florida State, what I needed to do to kind of follow this passion that I had, and he goes, "We'll keep you on as a volunteer assistant." So I was a volunteer assistant for 4 years with Florida State, and then it's really who you know. So he was able to open a couple doors for me. So I went from Florida State as a volunteer unpaid position to University of Central Florida as a paid position for 2 years as an assistant coach for the distance program there, and then went to an NAI school about an hour down the road for 7 years. It's interesting going from a school of 45,000 at UCF to a school of 650 when I was at Weber. But when the position here at Pembroke opened up, it was both a teaching and coaching position. So I was like, what better way to use my degree and what I've been doing for almost 10 years. One thing led to another, and I've been here this is my 6th year. So it's a couple doors opened when they were closed, and we're always looking to see what the next best thing is out there. But right now, the best thing is for me to be here at Pembroke.
And you mentioned that at one point you were coaching both high school and college, but that the college ranks is kind of what struck a chord with you. Why was that?
At the time, I didn't really know. I didn't run in college. I ran cross country, but not track. Okay. And obviously, when you're at a Division I program doing, I was a travel coordinator, so I got to travel to the ACC championships, to the regional championships, and you kind of got, the bells and whistles, and it just seemed like it was the thing to do, and I enjoyed it. My daughter was very, very young at the time, so she was on the track with Olympians, soon-to-be Olympians, and Walter Dix and a couple other kids. So to see those individuals on the TV, it's like, hey, you were on the track with Walter Dix doing block starts. It was just a different atmosphere. And high school, don't get me wrong, is a great thing. I think there's a lot less pressure in the high school ranks than there is in college. But I think everybody who coaches high school has aspirations of doing college. So I was able to jump a little bit faster into the college fray, and we're still here and still enjoying it.
Now, in my eyes, you have one of the unique coaching positions here at UNCP. You realistically coach 3 different teams, and there are certainly some crossover between student athletes amongst those teams. But what is it like to coach in all 3 seasons?
It's not easy.
I could imagine.
And it's a little, I don't want to say, it's not even depressing. It's when people have their off seasons and they're able to recruit in their off season, and they're like, well, when do you recruit? I was like, well, we have to recruit 12 months out of the year, even when we're in season. So we're in season 9 months while we're here with no off season. So realistically, given the situation we're in, I'm actually able to do more recruiting now than I was when the season was actually going on. So there is crossover, and it's kind of nice once we get to track to kind of intermingle with the rest of the 90 plus kids we have. So for the most part, I'm with my 20 kids for the cross and distance side, but it's nice to, when they're off doing their regular runs and I don't need to kind of watch over them, that I can go and joke around with the throwers or go watch the pole vaulters do that, and just kind of not glad hand, but just be around the other team, and it's nice to interact with the staff too, because during the fall the staff really doesn't see me too much because we practice at 6 a.m. They may see me in the office, but realistically, when they go to practice, I'm like, I'm out of here. I've been here for 12 hours. It's time for me to go home. And they're like, oh, we'll see you tomorrow morning. So, but it's good. It's just, it takes a little bit of logistics and a lot of time management to make sure that you can get everything done, both administratively and coaching, when you're in season, all season.
You look back on this past athletic year, and obviously a year that was unfortunately cut short, and we'll circle back to that in a little bit, but plenty of success in the UNCP programs. How do you assess this past year?
Wish we could have kept going, because I think there was bigger things that we were getting ready to achieve. But realistically, Our staff has done a great job and continues to do a great job recruiting and bringing in quality student athletes that can perform at the highest level, both in the conference, in the region, and obviously nationally. To have basically a freshman in Joshua Chepkasir qualify for 2 events at the national championship when he spent all indoor and outdoor last year hurt. To have, to get the accolades that we did get indoors, both on the guys' side and the girls' side, speaks volumes to the heart of the kids that want that. And I know that it hurts for the seniors, and it hurts for a lot of people, especially the staff, because heck, it's April. We should be going. I should be on my way to William and Mary right now for a meet, and here I am on campus with nobody on campus. Mm-hmm. But hopefully it's a double-edged sword. I think it's going to light a fire for some, but I think for those that don't take advantage of this time to kind of better themselves, both academically and athletically, we may be taking a couple steps back, but my hope is that we're taking steps forward during this time off.
And regardless of what happens in the future, I mean, you could look back on this year and I think the biggest storyline was women's indoor track team, track and field, winning first ever conference championship, and you being named coach of the year in that regard. You touched a little bit on the cancellation of the spring season and the winter championships. As a coach, how do you deal with that with your student athletes?
It's weird because I know I'm not the only one in this situation. I know basketball was 3 hours out from campus, had to turn around, come back. Wrestling was at their championship doing the same thing we were. Mm-hmm. We literally had our coaches meeting at 11 o'clock, and I think 3 hours later we were told to basically pack up and go home. And I broke the news to Josh literally 5 minutes after I told the staff, and he was very positive about it, and he's like, if it's in the best interest of the health and safety of the student athletes, then he was fine. I had some athletes text and email me that they were ready to go, and they were ready to do something really big, and you could see it based on what they did indoor and what we did the one at the Braves Classic. So it's tough, but I think what I've been doing on my side is every couple of days I'll email a kid, I'll email one of our athletes and just check in how they're doing, and hopefully that means something. And the one or two that I have reached out to have reached back and go, that really meant something, and they appreciated me reaching out. When typically my interaction with them is through GroupMe. It's like, hey, don't forget to register for classes. Hey, don't forget to send me your grade reports. Hey, don't forget to do this, that, and the other, as opposed to where it's very general, whereas an email or text message is a little more personal.
You kind of touched on how many student athletes you have to oversee, but one of them at a very personal level, and that's your son, Ian. What's it like to coach your son?
It's something that I never thought I would be doing, because I know in high school, obviously high school coaching is never, you never know what you're going to get. And I told my wife when both my kids were in high school that I would never supersede the high school coach and tell them what to do. And he was decent in high school. He was a multi-sport athlete, swam and then ran cross country and ran track, and was basically what our walk-on standards are here, 16:40 to 17 minutes, and 10 flat and change on the 32. Took 2 years off to go to Virginia Tech, and now transferred in here and is having indoors. He went 14:57 and 8:47 off of, who knows, it's one of those things. I think he has to work harder and has to prove more than somebody else, only because he's my son. And I try to, you can't give your son any more than what you would give a normal student athlete, because they'll see that as like, well, you're giving preferential treatment to your son. It's like,
right.
No, he's an athlete just like you. If he misses practice or is late, he's got to do the same punishment that you guys do. And it kind of carries over at home too. So we're able to try to find that gray area at home. Is like, he'll come home and say, hey, I had a great workout. It's like, we'll talk shop then, but then it's like, you guys still got to do the dishes and clean your room up. So it's fun because he's been more than willing to open up and go, if there's anything you want to experiment on me, if you want me to go high mileage and do this, I'll do that. So it's been nice, and I wish more athletes were able and willing to go above and beyond like he does. But it's fun, and I know the situation that we're going through with the eligibility is he actually gets. He's actually a huge winner in this because he would have been done with semesters in the fall along with his eligibility, but now he'll actually get the fall plus the spring. So he'll actually be able to compete all next year as he finishes his master's. So I think he's one of the true winners in this, and that's selfish of me. But as soon as it came down, he's like, well, how does this impact me? I was like, well, this is what I think. And then obviously when it was reaffirmed, I was like, we're fine. We'll follow an extension waiver for your semester. So it's fun, and he's already thinking post-collegiately what he wants to do, whether it's jumping in a triathlon or trying to go post-collegiately with a group that he finds locally and stuff like that. But it's fun. It gives us a little bit more time that we may not have had and didn't have as he was growing up in middle school and high school, when I was definitely away from the family more because of this. So it does allow us to reconnect a little bit more.
And I have to say that in addition to his success both athletically and academically, he's been a tremendous help to us here at the UNCP Sports Network. He's helped out in a bunch of broadcasts, so I'm happy to hear that he will be back for for another year as he wraps up his master's. You talked about how you competed in high school, but I know you still stay active, and you've competed in a Ironman and some half Ironman. What has that been like for you?
That's been the toughest part for me is now I know how the kids feel. Is truly because I've already had 2 races. I've had 4 races canceled or postponed on me. And the difference between the athletes and me is I actually have to pay for my races, where they're just like, hey, we'll get in the bus and we'll get in the van and go. But I realize that I'm not the only one that's affected. I went to a triathlon camp with Moxie Multisport into February after the indoor championship, and we're all talking about the same thing. And I've got a good friend out on the West Coast that signed up for Ironman Australia. That was supposed to be, I think, June-ish, and it was postponed, and same thing. So they actually rescheduled that Ironman Australia for September. So he's doing that. I'm still waiting on my Roanoke half that was supposed to be in June 7th, and everything else. So knock on wood, it's not a full delay in the season, because I do feel that that's my way, that's my release from the rigors of recruiting and teaching and coaching, that it gives me some semblance of normalcy, and that I am a normal person outside of what I do for 8 to 10 hours a day here at Pembroke.
In my eyes, the Ironman is the ultimate test of physical abilities, and you competed in the 2002 Ironman,
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct? Okay. What is it like to prepare for an event like that and then to participate in something like that?
I went through, I think, 9 months of training, and I did Ironman Wisconsin when I was a grad student at Florida State. So it was the first year that Ironman was offered, and it was a great experience. It's kind of like everybody wants to finish a marathon. My thing was an Ironman. So now I took 10 years off to kind of finish my degree. So I didn't really race from 2002 to maybe 2012. And so now I'm just getting back into quote-unquote full-time training, full-time racing. I think last year I competed in 8, almost maybe 10 or 12 events.
Wow.
And that was fun. I went out to Hawaii, did the half Ironman out there, went down to Florida, ran at the Daytona International Speedway for a race, competed in the North Carolina Tri-Series and won my age group. So it's fun. I enjoy that part of it. And this year was supposed to be local, 2 half Ironmans that were Roanoke and Virginia, and then obviously the one in October in Wilmington. And then next year is the big year to where I ramp back up, hopefully, knock on wood, and go back to Hawaii for Kona 70.3, and then hopefully Ironman Canada in August. So, 1, I think it allows me to kind of be myself, but 2, it shows the athletes that, coach is still training, and you put me in the right race, I can probably still mix it up with some of our kids. Maybe not all the kids, but enough to kind of make it fun, and I can still joke around with them from a training standpoint, because I know what they're going through. And when they see that I'm training 14, 15 hours a week, and they're putting in about the same, it's like, man, coach is still doing work, and he's he's getting a little older, but he's still able to put it down. Yeah.
And out of swimming, running, and biking, do you have a favorite, or and one that might be hardest to you?
Up until about 2 weeks ago, my swimming was coming around to like it was no other. I was really excited about that. But I enjoy the bike because I get to see more. Because I can go around the countryside. I've ridden my bike into work a couple times. Running it's good. It was my forte coming in, but I think I've gotten a little bit better on the bike, and I just maintain my run, and I really miss the swim right now.
All right, I want to wrap up with a fun question for you. We've gotten some fun answers. All right. Would you rather go back to age 5 with everything you know now, or know now everything that your future self will learn? I could repeat that, and you could take as much time as you need to think about that.
Repeat the second one.
Okay. Or know now everything that your future self will learn.
I think I would choose the first option.
Go back to age 5, knowing everything that you know now.
Yep. And probably still do everything that I have done.
Okay.
But I think the second option is it limits that future path because I'll already know what I'm doing.
That's true.
So at least at age 5, I'll know a lot, so I can change some things, but it's not going to change that final outcome for whatever this thing has for me left to do.
Very interesting. Great answer. Great answer. That's the type of thoughtful responses that we're looking for. I'd asked Todd a similar question, and he right away knew exactly what it was. Didn't even have to think about it. But I appreciate that you took some time and thought out a good answer with that. Dr. Ormsby, thank you so much for joining me, and hope that you and your family stay safe.
Definitely. Thank you. You too.
And with that, we have wrapped up our 4th episode of BraveHawk Talk. For more on UNC Pembroke Athletics, please visit uncpbraves.com and follow us on all of our social media platforms at UNCP_sports. Thank you so much for joining us, and make sure to tune in on Monday for our next show. We'll talk to you then.